Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Anthony and this is Aquascaping on the Fly, Living Art Creations, where on this channel we infuse our love of spirit and DIY and our passion for Mother Nature into every single one of the builds that we put forth. We're that scrappy channel that takes what we got, we work with it, and we do it on a budget. So if that's you, you have found the right spot. And I also would like to welcome back my FlyScrapers Collective. That's right. If you missed the last video I did, I gave my subscribers, which are now 301, their own name and identity. So now you have that. Okay, the last video I made, my nose started itching right when I started doing the video, and I was having a really hard time not scratching it. I just started this video, and my nose is starting to itch again. I swear, something's going on. I don't know what it is, but something's going on. Anyway, so today it's going to be all about the shrimp. Nothing but the shrimp shall help me divine. Yes, I can make a short form video. I've enrolled myself in a YouTube class called How to Make a Short Form Video. Are you sure you want to make a short form video? And do you really think you can keep your content under 30 minutes? All kidding aside, yes, I think I can do a short form video, but I love to talk. Oh my gosh, I can't help it. And I love talking with you guys. I love engaging with you guys. So I hope this resonates with you. The video, we're going to cover some stuff about the shrimp. The big thing. Okay. So those of you who have been loyal and who have subscribed, you know the saga that I'm undergoing with blackfish and my blue velvets that produced 3 distinct colors, and none of them were really the blue that their parents showed. Now, blackfish is my one political statement tank that's made after the SeaWorld documentary. And for blackfish, I ordered 20 blue velvet shrimp. Now, this was during the summer, and when the shrimp arrived, they came from California, and it took over 7 days. So the insulation ice pack was melted and too warm. When I touched it, when I opened the box, I knew they were going to die. I just knew it because the temperature had fluctuated way too much. And they lived, 18 of them lived the first 24 hours, and that was it. They were all dead except 2. So I had 2 juveniles that were alive. Now those juveniles did mate. We had generation 1 and generation 2, and but their offspring were black, red, and then the really opaque, almost like the blue jelly. And so when I started doing research on this is, of course, after I bought them, because I thought they were pretty. Hello, we do that. You know, we do that. We're like, oh, that look pretty in my tank. Let's put that in my tank. And then disaster happens. But the blue velvet is a cross between a blue dream and a cherry red. So, of course, you can have red babies coming out of it. That's common. If the breeder has not culled, C-U-L-L-E-D, their offspring out of it. So you pull out the ones that don't match that color and don't let them interbreed with any more of the blue ones that you're trying to develop that pure color with. So that's the difference between a high quality or a high grade and a low quality, low grade shrimp. So I came out with every color except the blue that the parents were. Now, the parents were a really pretty blue. They were not a dark blue. They were like a medium to dark blue, most of them. But the offspring that I was getting that was blue were coming out like a blue jelly, like that super, super faint blue, almost like an aqua green color, which means they're reverting back to their wild color. And that is just in the first generation. So that tells you that that gene pool was falling apart completely from the very beginning. This is a first defense to keep your gene pool pure. So what I did, kind of by instinct, I did this before I knew I should have been doing this. I started pulling the babies out of blackfish. So at the same time, whether you want to call this fate or divine intervention, I'll say it's divine intervention because I'm very spiritual, all my shrimp that were in these tanks that I started with almost all are dead or jump ship. When I say jump ship, they got out, and they get out quite frequently. Now, and I covered this I've covered this a couple of times in videos where my shrimp have gotten out. Because I'm a flight attendant and I'm gone, and I have hardscape and plants coming out of my tanks, I don't have covers. So now I know why people put covers on their tanks. It's to keep their livestock inside because they'll get out. So the ones that were in here were some ghost shrimp, and I had 4 monos. And then in here I had a snowball. I had one snowball left out of a group of 7 that I started with. And in this tank behind me, bird on a wire, I had 7 down to 3 orange rillies. So I had 2 females and a male. And so I was really excited because I knew I was going to be anticipating getting babies because they were almost 3 months old and they were very small when I got them. And then down here in the Tree of Life, I had more ghost shrimp, and I ended up transferring the Amanos from here down to this tank because Tree of Life had a massive amount of biofilm that the ghost shrimp were just not keeping up with. And another thing I don't like about the ghost shrimp, and I'll just be quite honest, is they're too aggressive. They go after their own, whether they're babies or not. I mean, they just aggressively will attack them, and I don't like that. So putting the Amanos in there kind of kept them in shape because the Amanos are a lot bigger. And the Amanos basically stayed at the top level. So they were eating the biofilm that the ghost shrimp never would go up that high. The ghost shrimp would go up to about medium and then down below. So that's another thing you need to consider. When you're doing the research on your shrimp, some of your shrimp prefer different levels of the tank. So you just got to pull that out and see which one has that hierarchy of who likes to be a rock dweller and who wants to be, climbing the Alps up here. Well, Amanos like to climb the Alps. So on a trip that I was gone last week, I filled all the tanks up, didn't even think about it. Even the bowls, I have 3 bowls, filled them all up. That's when I lost everything. I'm down to 1 Amano that's left. The other ones were on the floor. The ghost shrimp that I had here, I took them out and moved them to the bowls because the bowls needed attention because everybody knows, the smaller the container, the harder it is to keep your water parameters, kind of consistent. So I was running into that. So I pulled them out because I have new wood in those bowls. And this up here has already been 4 months old. So it's already undergoing, it's doing fine. So this one was empty. And then in here, my 1 snowball, suicide. My orange rillies, I was down to 1. And that made me sick because the one I had left was the male, meaning my potential females that could have had eggs had jumped out. And it's really easy to get out in this tank because you can see I have a stick that comes from the bottle and goes straight out. And on it is that pothos. It's growing insanely beautiful out of there. And they love to be on those roots. And they would be right at the top anyway. So that was just another downside to it. It's like, oh my gosh, I came back and all my shrimp were gone. So at the same time, about 2 days later, I thought, okay, I've got all these shrimp that's in blackfish. I need to sort them out. And so it just kind of hit me. Sort them out according to their colors, and then I'll put their colors in the tanks. Oh my gosh, I thought, oh my God, I'm a genius. That's a great way to save money because I was going to have to spend, at least $40 on every one of these tanks to restock them. So instead, I played Fish Keeper for going on till today. And so what I'm going to give you guys is I've been keeping notes about what I pulled out of there. So I had to do 2 95% water changes. 95%, yes. That's me taking blackfish and tilting it to a 45, getting all the water in one little compartment, getting as many of the babies out of it that I could see, and then still using my turkey baster, sucking the water down to the gravel. So I thought I had everything out of there. No, I was wrong. There were still babies in there. But I did find the breeding pair that was in there. Now, I thought I only had 2. I thought I had a male and a female. I have 4. I had 3 males and 1 female. And so I separated them into this larger bowl here. And now they're all gone. But guess who is in there with them? Ghost shrimp. Now the ghost shrimp are bigger because these were juveniles, but they were old enough to, mate. And now there's nothing in there. There's nothing but a big old ghost shrimp. So ghost shrimp made quick meal out of the breeders that I had, which it's sad. I wish I hadn't put them in there, but I was trying to separate them so they couldn't breed anymore. So I was separating the male from the females, but now they're gone. They're completely gone now. So, and I've got ghost shrimp in every single one of those. The only one they haven't bothered is the orange really. The one orange really out of here is in a tank with a ghost shrimp. And the orange really has created dominance in that tank. So the blue velvets did not create dominance, I guess. And they were easy prey for them. So I've got to get the ghost shrimp out of there because I'll never have any babies because they'll just eat them. And I want to be able to self-sustain each one of the builds. So going forward, I won't be putting any more in there. But what I have pulled out so far are 53 babies out of blackfish. And so here is the breakdown. Tree of Life here has the black ones. Now, when I say they're black, it goes from one that's got black all along down the spine. It's beautiful. So it's like black and then kind of clearish below it. Almost like if you were going to invent a shrimp and it would be kind of like an Amano color, but with more black on it. That's kind of how they look. And then some of them have black tails, some of them black heads. So it's a big old combination of those. So there's 13 in this tank. It needs more because there's a lot of biofilm in here. And then there's gravel that they love feeding on. So the nice thing about this is I can see them swimming around. They're very active in here, the black ones. And then the red ones up here in Garden of Eden. Now, Garden of Eden has 24. So by far, the highest number of color that came out is red at 24 because I found all of them. And then the second would be in turtle. And these are the ones that are coming out that jelly color. So it's the very, very pale. And the generation 2, which is the second live birth that happened as I was draining the tank, I found what appeared to be 3 infants that looked dark, dark blue or black. So I went ahead and put a total of 5 originally in this tank. And they were all that same dark, dark color. And you can't tell if it's blue or black. It's so close. And that's me with my magnifying glass and a flashlight shining right on them to try to see the difference when they start getting just big enough where I can see the change. I have since pulled out 3 that were black and have gone in here into Tree of Life. I checked yesterday. And there's 1. Well, there's 2 right there. Those are the 2 I have left. Oh my God, I almost need to stop this video because they're both right there. So happy to see you guys. From here, I can tell they have a little blue on them, so we're just gonna leave them in there anyway. That's so exciting, they're right there. I hope they stay there for a while. So that one has 2 in it. And now this is what I've just done. I have 1 more baby that I know for sure that's in blackfish that I've got to get out, and it's clear. They are on to me. I mean, on to me. I can't leave the lights on in that tank. I can't turn the kitchen light on because it scares them. And they associate light with getting captured. And I know there's 1 left. So I've got to get that 1 out of there because I do not want it getting any bigger and I do not want it breeding with the shrimp that are coming because I just placed an order. It's the first time I've ordered shrimp off eBay. And I had found a deal where it was get 10 sun-kissed orange with 10 blue diamonds. So I was interested in the blue diamond because they're the darkest of the blue. And I thought, okay, if I have blue babies in here, and if I put blue diamonds in there with it, that will give me a new colony that can breed. And I chose blue for this tank because this tank had, when I had the orange lilies in there, they looked amazing because they matched the rock, but they were hard to find. So I wanted to do blue because I know it would stand out against the color in here. Now, this is the one tank that really only has a tiny bit of a cave. All the other ones all have good caves in them for the shrimp, but it does have this big root system coming down that they will get into and hide whenever they have their babies. And then the orange ones are going to go into blackfish. Now, I debated about this back and forth. I really wanted green jade. And those of you who've seen the colors or the cantaloupe, oh my God. Number one, I love cantaloupe. I used to grow it as a kid. Amazing. But cantaloupe is, again, one of those crossbreeds, which would be just like a blue velvet was. You're not going to be guaranteed that you're going to get that color out of that shrimp because it's based on their gene pool. And it can pull up every color, just like you saw or will see as these all grow up in these 3 tanks. You're going to see their colors and you're going to say, how is it possible you got all those black out of a blue velvet? Well, that's because sometimes with the blue velvet, they were throwing in a little bit of a black really in there to darken the color, to darken the blue. I'm not sure if it's going to work because I ended up with just straight up black. But I don't see any of the really feature coming out yet until maybe they get a little older and I can see if there's clear sections on their body versus some that don't have any clear on them. You know, like in the normal clear tone that they would have anyway versus what it really has when it's almost always like in the middle of the body. So we'll see how that turns out. But the sun-kissed that are coming, I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to get the sun-kissed. We're going to do the rainbow series after this, and I'm going to use orange. So maybe if I can get them to breed, I could also get a breeding colony that could also put orange into the orange build that we're going to be coming up with the rainbow series. So I was trying to think of like 2 ways to really get an advantage out of not having to buy another color again. But I still kind of want a specific build that has a specialty color in it that I can try. And for those of you who are familiar with the studio, you'll notice I have a blank space up here. I moved my bowls to the other end and put all my terrariums at the fireplace base because it has grow lighting specific on it. Well, it's the same lighting that I'm using up here, but down here at the end where the bowls are now, that's not a grow light. The plants were growing really well there, but I think I'll get better production out of them once they're adjusted to the grow lighting that's at the fireplace. So I moved all the terrariums out to put the bowls there, which, by the way, those were supposed to be bowls in the beginning. It's just that the terrarium I put there was the shape of a bowl, and I just kind of loved it. But it's starting to grow too tall for the light fixture that's there. So it was time to replace it. So I've got my bowls that are still challenging, but I'm putting them there, which frees me up for my space here. Now, for those of you who have watched back some of my older videos, take a look at the Harry Potter terrarium specifically, because I kept, even though the terrarium was glorious, I'm just going to tell you that right now. It was a terrarium that had the Elder Wand, where the Elder Wand had been refound. So at the end of the last movie, the original set of movies, not the remakes that they're doing, but the new stuff they're doing. So Harry's character breaks the wand and throws it on the grounds of Hogwarts, which basically means he's throwing it into the Forbidden Forest, I think is what they called it. And so my story picks up that the Elder Wand has repaired itself and it's looking for the new chosen one. And I kind of used the theme of King Arthur with it as well. So I had it balanced on a rock and it was glued to it. So it needed someone with the power that could remove it unstuck from the rock. And so the terrarium was actually not a typical terrarium. It was a globe for a candle that I turned on its side. So the wand was literally across the whole thing with a little bit of plant life. But because the dip and the candle holder globe was so slight, I never could keep it moist enough for anything to grow in there. So it looked amazing, but it failed ultimately. Now, that candle globe is still attached to its original wood that I found out with Mother Nature's help. And it will fit perfectly in a 20-gallon long, which is to balance the tree of life. So the Harry Potter will be reborn again with its elder wand back in it again, except this time it's going to be underwater, and maybe I can put some Christmas moss on it or something like that to get it to green up and to be like suspended at the top of the build. So I think it's going to look really, really cool. And if I do something like that, I probably will do something fun like the green jade or another fun color that'll stand out so that you can see it when you easily look up into it. So it's going to be a build that's going to have a wood structure that fits it. I've already tested it. And then the globe is up higher. So it's going to be very different, but it's all still going to be underwater. It'll be a nightmare to clean, you know that. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. No, I'll let the shrimp take care of that, I hope. Anyway, so that's our update for the shrimp. So my big takeaway on this is do your research. And the reason why I'm using the Neos versus the Cardina shrimp is because the water parameters are much more generous as far as us being able to take care of them as beginners or not professional setups, because your GH and your KH really has to be a lot severely limited when you're talking about the Cardina. So yes, they do produce these beautiful shrimps, but unless you can keep your water parameters like that, you know, you're ultimately dooming them, which is what was happening in my water system before I put in the RO. And I am going to put out a video about where I am at with our water changes. So I'm no longer having to do weekly water changes because my GH and my KH is more settling down. The problem I'm having now, of course, is in my small bowls because the water size itself is very, very small, and it has the majority of a large wooden aspect into it that's leaching out into it. So that's a balance that I'm having to work with. But hope you guys found the video engaging, and I will see you either up in the skies or on the next video update. You guys have a great day, and thanks for joining me.